Oil prices are in the doldrums, but are they stuck there? Welcome to Market Insight. I'm Elena Casas. Brent Crude is hovering around $70 a barrel after hitting its lowest price since late 2021 on Tuesday. In recent months, a series of usually bullish news, including disruptions to output in Libya and an OPEC Plus decision to delay a planned output hike, have failed to give the price much of a lift. To find out why not, I'm joined now by Homayoun Falakshahi, senior oil analyst at Kpler. Homayoun, hello. Why has sentiment been so weak this summer?
It's really a combination of, I would say, general sentiment being quite weak, especially looking at China, the Chinese economy overall, not just oil demand, not doing great in China, but also looking at oil demand in the US, for example, and more specifically demand for end products such as gasoline and middle distillates, where we've seen inventories rising in the US, despite summer season where usually you have it's the peak demand season where usually you have draws. But I think lately there's been a dichotomy between what happened in I would say on the flat price side of the equation, and on the other side what we've seen on the physical market, which has remained relatively much more resilient. And that's why I think we are due a sort of rebound on oil prices globally over the next few sessions. Maybe the market could catch up at some point.
OPEC Plus decided at its last meeting, of course, not to bring more supply onto the market in the immediate term, but it's put itself into a tricky position going forward, hasn't it?
Indeed, I mean the problem will stay the same when they meet again, probably in a couple of months or at the beginning of December. The issue for OPEC Plus is that they probably took the right decision actually last week by deciding to postpone. It was really the most reasonable thing to do. Otherwise, we probably would have seen prices crash even further. But at the same time, if you look at global balances, they're not looking really promising over the next 2 months. So the issue will stay the same, and also in the first quarter of 2025. And the fact is, when they postpone such production hike, it could also be seen as the market as a confirmation of weak demand. So there's no easy solution for OPEC Plus out there, whether they decide to increase their production or not. It could be seen negatively from the market. But ultimately, we think that they will go ahead and start increasing production from the beginning of next year. But we think the output increase is not going to be as high as promised on paper, the 2.2 million barrels per day increase. We think we're going to see about half of that actually reach markets next year.
Another factor, of course, is that some international demand is now being fulfilled by a shadow market in Russian oil as it sells outside of US sanctions. There have been new sanctions imposed on tankers that have been carrying Russian oil this week. But how much impact do you think that sanctioned market has on global supply?
I mean, very little. Sanctions have had very, very little impact on restricting Russian exports. So in fact, they are having an impact on the tanker market because some ships are being pushed out of these markets. For example, I think the UK sanctioned a few more ships today or yesterday. And so these ships are going to exit that market, but that doesn't mean that there's the shadow fleet, as we call it, or the gray fleet, has been hugely important to Russia, and it's growing and growing. So it doesn't mean that more other tankers will enter this market and will be operated by shell companies, mostly based in the Middle East or Asia, with the primary purpose of loading Russian cargoes. So in terms of actual physical market impact, it's been really, really little, and we expect it to continue. We don't expect any impact really on Russian oil exports, especially given the fact that with where prices are right now, you could think that we're already under the price cap as well, under $60 per barrel.
Do you think then that global supply will continue to outpace demand into 2025?
Yeah, indeed. So with OPEC Plus, even with us assuming that ultimately OPEC Plus will only increase production by about half compared to what they said. So we see them increasing production by about 1.05, 1.1 million barrels per day next year, compared to the 2.2 million barrels per day increase that they're promising. But on the other side, we are also seeing non-OPEC plus supply growth continue, mainly led by a few countries such as Brazil, Canada, the US, Guyana, and Norway. So these 5 countries together, we think will be increasing production by about 800,000 barrels per day. So when you add the two together, it's close to actually 2 million barrels per day year-on-year growth. And at the end of the day, what this means is that we are actually seeing supply continuing to outpace demand growth next year. However, the situation looks much more promising towards the end of next year, and also as we are approaching plateau production from the US, for example, and also with Brazil, some of their main fields are having high decline rates, and so this means that beyond 2025, 2026. It's going to be difficult for Brazil to also maintain that high level of growth. So beyond 2025, it's looking a bit more promising for the oil market in summary.
Thank you so much for that analysis, Homayoun Falakshahi of Kpler. And that's your market insight. Don't forget, you can watch more videos on Reuters.com.